Have you ever noticed how some people just seem to, well, effortlessly have it all?
Yeah.
They land the best jobs, build these incredible networks of friends, they have strong relationships, and even seem to, I don't know, grow their bank accounts easier.
It really does feel like they're playing on a different level sometimes.
Exactly. But our sources today suggest it's not always about being smarter or more educated or even, better looking.
Mm-hmm.
Often it boils down to something maybe more learnable.
A more skillful way of dealing with fellow human beings, as our source material puts it.
Mm-hmm.
It's fascinating when you look closer. The people who rise up, who seem to have that sort of Midas touch, they're not just lucky. They've often figured out, maybe consciously, maybe not, how to capture hearts and conquer minds, how to get others almost, like helping them climb rung by rung to the top.
And that's what we're digging into today.
Exactly.
We're doing a deep dive into Leil Lowndes' really insightful book, How to Talk to Anyone. 92 little tricks for big success in relationships. We're going to unpack her bag of tricks.
Which are really, at their core, these practical ways to become more confident, more credible.
Yeah, charismatic, making everyone you meet feel, as she says, like a million.
So get ready for some pretty impactful, sometimes surprising ways to really level up how you interact with people.
Okay, let's start right at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
First impressions.
Crucial.
Our sources say that initial mental snapshot people take, it happens almost instantly. And get this, it's apparently more than 80% based on how you look and how you move.
Wow, 80%. That's huge. Before a word is even spoken.
I know.
It just highlights the immense power of nonverbal communication, doesn't it? Our brains are just wired to process those visual cues super fast. And one of the most powerful signals you can send right then is your smile. But maybe not the way most people think.
Right. Not just a quick automatic flash of teeth. You're talking about the flooding smile.
That's the one.
The book explains that a common quick smile, it doesn't carry much weight anymore. So what makes this flooding technique different? Why is it more impactful?
Well, it's about being intentional and timing. So instead of that immediate grin, the trick is to delay it slightly.
Delay it how?
When you first greet someone, you pause for just a second. You really look at them, absorb their presence, then you let this warm, genuine smile kind of erupt. It makes the smile feel way more potent, more personal, because it feels like your happiness is a direct reaction to them specifically.
That makes sense. It taps into that desire we all have for, individual recognition.
Exactly. It signals a real connection, not just a social habit.
The book mentions Missy, a CEO in corrugated boxes.
Yeah, that's a great example.
She deliberately adopted a slower smile based on her dad's advice and some study.
Right. A study showing women who smiled slower in business were seen as more credible.
And it apparently changed how people saw her. It's subtle, but wow.
It's a small shift with big impact. And building on that same idea, making someone feel really special, there's this other technique called the big baby pivot.
Okay, that name alone is memorable. How does the big baby pivot work? What's the thinking behind giving someone the same attention you'd give a toddler?
Well, you literally give the new person the same warm smile, the total body turn, and the undivided attention you'd instinctively give, like a cute baby who crawled up to you beaming.
Huh.
It's powerful because it just screams, I think you are very, very special. It basically taps into our, deep-seated craving for positive attention.
Unconditional positive regard, almost.
Kind of. By mimicking that pure, non-judgmental focus we give a child, you kind of bypass adult defenses and hit that inner need for acceptance.
The story about Carla at a party using this,
Yeah.
She immediately gets into this animated conversation. It really shows how it makes people feel seen.
Valued, yeah. It's like hitting the fast-forward button on rapport.
Okay, so you're making these great first impressions, smiling warmly, pivoting, but there's a flip side. You absolutely have to limit the fidget.
Oh.
We all have these unconscious habits, right? But how much can little things, like fiddling with your hair or tapping your foot, actually hurt your credibility?
A lot more than people think. Unconscious fidgeting can totally sink you, even if you're being completely honest. Professionals, they learn to consciously squash anything that looks like shiftiness. So no face touching, neck rubbing, arm rubbing, excessive blinking, even if you're physically uncomfortable.
You just got to power through it.
Pretty much. Think about that famous 1960 Nixon-Kennedy debate.
Oh yeah, the TV debate.
Nixon looked sweaty, he was fidgeting, wiping his brow. Kennedy looked cool and composed. Many people think Nixon's appearance, the fidgeting, might have cost him the election. It just gave viewers this gut feeling something wasn't right.
Even if it was just nerves or bad makeup.
But our brains just link those things to anxiety or even deception.
It's amazing how powerful those little signals are. And speaking of signals, the last technique for first impressions is Hans's horse sense. This comes from a pretty cool old story, right?
It does. It's all about reading nonverbal cues, inspired by clever Hans. This horse back in the early 1900s.
The one that could do math.
Supposedly. But scientists figured out Hans wasn't actually doing math or reading. He was incredibly good at reading tiny, subtle body language cues from the audience.
Like what?
Like a tiny muscle relaxing or someone breathing out slightly when he reached the right number of taps. That was his signal to stop.
So he looked like a genius, but he was really just a master observer.
Exactly. And for us humans, it means being on a dual track. You're talking, expressing yourself, sure, but you're also keeping a really sharp eye on your listener. How are they reacting? Smiling, frowning, nodding, looking away.
And you adjust based on that.
Constantly. You plan your next move based on their feedback. It's active listening, but with your eyes as much as your ears.
Okay, so you've aced the nonverbals. Now, the tricky part for some, what do you actually say after hi?
Yes. Small talk.
Our sources say a lot of smart people really, truly detest small talk. They feel like little lost children in social situations.
I can relate to that sometimes.
Me too. But despite that feeling, why is it still so darn important?
Because it's the gateway. It's not about having some deep philosophical debate right off the bat. It's the warm-up. It's how you put people at ease and build that initial bridge.
Right.
And the first technique here, prosaic with passion, really nails this, the core idea. Almost anything you say really is okay as long as it puts people at ease and sounds passionate.
So it's less about what you say.
And more about how you say it. Your tone, more than your text, is what builds the connection.
That really resonates with the story about Samuel Hayakawa, the Japanese-American scholar during WWII.
Oh, that's such a powerful example.
He's in a train station, people are suspicious, and he just makes these, quote, unoriginal remarks about the weather, about traveling with a kid, but he says it with sincerity.
And it completely changes the dynamic. The suspicion melts away. The other couple, who were initially wary, end up inviting him for dinner, all from simple, sincere small talk about the cold.
It wasn't witty, just human.
Exactly. Sincerity is key. Now, following that, to keep things moving, the book says, never the naked job city.
Right. Avoid those dead-end answers.
What happens when someone asks, what do you do? And you just say, lawyer, or where are you from? Chicago.
It just stops. Right? The other person has nowhere to go. They feel awkward.
Yeah, it puts all the pressure back on them. So the advice is to flesh it out a bit. Give them some delicious facts or a quick, relatable story.
Like the lawyer example. If you're talking to a young mom, mention a maternity leave case. To a business owner, maybe something about interview questions.
Exactly. Tailor it slightly. It stops the listener feeling like an outsider and gives them something easy to ask about next, something to munch on, as the book puts it.
It's like leaving the door open for them. So, on that note, if you're the one asking, you want to avoid that blunt, what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
What's a better way?
The book suggests a really elegant alternative. How do you spend most of your time?
Just 8 words.
But it's described as a really gracious way to ask. It works whether someone has a traditional job, is between things, is a stay-at-home parent.
It doesn't put them in a box based on employment status.
Precisely. It shows you're interested in them, the person, not just their job title. And it gives them the freedom to talk about work or hobbies or family, whatever feels right. It respects their whole identity.
That's a great one to keep in your back pocket.
Yeah.
Okay, but what if the conversation just stalls? You know, that awkward silence looms.
Ah, the dreaded pause. There's a simple technique called parroting for that.
Parroting. Like a bird.
Kinda. You just repeat the last 2 or 3 words your companion said, but in a sort of sympathetic, questioning tone.
Give me an example.
Well, the author talks about keeping a friend talking about a play, Sweeney Todd, for like an hour, just by occasionally saying Sweeney Todd or bizarre story, even when she was half asleep.
No way. Does it really work that well?
Apparently. Salespeople use it too. Like the used car salesman who kept parroting right for you and fits your personality until the customer finally revealed they actually wanted a sportier car. It gently nudges people to elaborate without feeling interrogated.
It's like giving them a little prompt. Okay, that's clever. And finally, for small talk to really connect, you need to be a word detective.
Oh, I like the sound of that.
It's about listening for something specific, isn't it? Not just the general flow.
Yes. You listen really closely for clues to what the person actually cares about, their preferred topic.
Clues like what?
Unusual references, any anomaly, deviation, digression, or invitation of another place, time, person, anything that stands out. And when you hear it like a detective, you spring on that subject.
Gotcha. The example of Nancy and the cantankerous old woman, Mrs. Otis.
Perfect illustration. Nancy mentions the weather. Mrs. Otis snaps back, "It's been good for the plants." That's the clue. Right. So Nancy doesn't take offense. She asks, "Oh, do you like plants?" And suddenly Mrs. Otis just opens up, talking nonstop about her garden, her late husband.
Wow. All from picking up on that one word, plants.
Nancy tuned into the underlying passion, the emotional investment, and unlocked a real connection just by being a good word detective.
Okay, moving beyond small talk now, let's talk about how to speak with more presence, more authority, how to talk like a VIP.
Yeah, leveling up the impact.
Our sources hit us with a pretty staggering statistic. 85% of success in life is directly due to communication skills. 85%.
It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? It's not just what you know.
But how well you communicate it, how well you connect.
Absolutely. And one technique for this is called you firsty. It taps into how our brains work, apparently. How does starting a sentence with you change things?
It's really clever. It flips the perspective. So instead of asking, say, "Can I take Friday off, boss?" You try, "Boss, could you do without me Friday?"
Okay, I see.
The book says it pushes the pride button. It frames the request in their terms, appealing to their ability or their needs.
Makes sense.
Same with asking directions. "Excuse me, could you tell me where the Golden Gate Bridge is?" Worked better than just, "Where's the Golden Gate Bridge?" It subtly plays on their pride. Are you able to help?
It shifts the focus from your need to their capability. Very smart. And related to sounding, well, smarter, the book says you don't actually need a huge vocabulary.
Yeah, I found that surprising. The difference between a respected vocabulary and a mundane one is supposedly only about 50 words.
50 words? That seems achievable.
Right. The trick isn't to swallow a dictionary. It's to take common, overused words like smart, nice, good, look them up in a thesaurus.
Okay.
And then pick just a few richer alternatives that actually sound like you.
Yeah.
That fit your personality.
And then practice them.
Exactly. Practice until they feel natural. So instead of just, "That's smart," maybe you'd say, "How ingenious," or "How astute of you." It's about being more intentional and adding a little polish.
Makes sense. Elevating your everyday language slightly. And on the flip side, while adding richer words, we should apparently don't touch a cliche with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah. And instead, use Joss Smith's jive. What's wrong with cliches? And what's Joss Smith's jive?
Well, cliches like tired as a dog or cute as a button, they can make you sound uncommonly common to influential people, just predictable.
Okay. So avoid them.
And instead, roll your own clever phrases. Learn from good speakers, vary your tone, your speed, use silence. Create your own memorable little quotables or similes that have real visual punch.
Like Barry Farber saying being nervous was like an elephant dangling over a cliff with its tail tied to a daisy.
Exactly. Or that vet calling the rooster foot operation a drumstick transplant. It's creative, memorable, visual.
Well, I've got to be careful. The book warns about relevance.
Oh, absolutely. Your clever phrase or joke has to fit the moment. Otherwise, you risk, well, bombing, like that cruise ship poetry reading disaster mentioned in the book.
Great.
Serve the conversation. Don't just show off.
Good point. Okay, last one in this section. What do you do when someone keeps asking about something you really don't want to discuss? Persistent, unwelcome questions.
Ah, yes. The broken record technique. Simple, but apparently very effective.
How does it work? What makes it stop the unwanted questioning?
It's all about calm, unwavering repetition. You simply repeat your original response. Exactly the same words, exactly the same calm tone of voice, no variation.
You say the same thing over and over.
Pretty much. The book explains that this firmness, this refusal to engage further or offer new info, usually makes the questioner just give up.
Like Barbara, after splitting from her husband and business partner.
Right. The nosy colleague kept probing, and she just kept repeating calmly, "We've separated, but the company is unaffected." Same words, same tone.
And the colleague eventually stopped asking.
Exactly. It shut down the interrogation without being rude, just firm. It's a polite way to hold your boundary.
All right, let's move into becoming more of an insider, connecting on a deeper level, making people feel you're really on their wavelength.
Getting beyond the surface.
The first technique here is called scramble therapy, which sounds fun. The idea is to become a sort of modern-day Renaissance person by, every so often, doing something totally out of your pattern.
Shaking things up.
Yeah, scramble your life a bit. How does doing something random, like taking one pottery class or going to a weird concert, actually help you communicate better?
It's kind of counterintuitive, but the insight is that even that single sampling of something new often gives you 80% of the conversational value.
80%. How?
Because you pick up the basics, you learn the insider's questions to ask, the right terms to use, the general vibe of that world.
Like the author taking that one resort dive in Bermuda?
Exactly. Just 3 hours. But they learned enough scuba lingo, like wrecks or reefs, night diving, the bends, that they could then talk to experienced divers and sound knowledgeable, like an insider.
Even though they barely had any real experience.
Right. It's not about faking expertise. It's about gaining just enough familiarity to ask informed questions and show genuine, knowledgeable interest. That builds bridges fast.
So it's about being curious and learning the language of other people's worlds. That flows really nicely into the next technique, echoing.
Ah, yes. The simple linguistic technique that packs a powerful wallop.
How does simply repeating someone's exact words back to them create such a strong connection? It seems almost too simple.
It works on a subliminal level. You listen closely for their arbitrary choice of nouns, verbs, prepositions, adjectives, the specific words they choose, and you gently echo them back in your own responses.
Why does that work?
Because hearing their words come out of your mouth creates subliminal rapport. It makes them feel unconsciously that you share their values, their attitudes, their way of seeing the world.
Can you give an example?
Sure. The car selling one is good. If the mom talks about her toddler, you echo back toddler, maybe mentioning the toddler protection lock. You don't switch to child protection lock.
Ah, matching her specific word.
Yes. Or calling a boat enthusiast boat she, not it. Using pharmacy if they say pharmacy, not drugstore. Little things like that.
And getting it wrong can instantly mark you as an outsider.
Exactly. Using the wrong term, like handicapped instead of person with a disability, or calling someone's passion project by the wrong name, it shows you're not sensitive to their world or their perspective. Echoing shows you are paying attention and you respect their framework.
Wow. We have covered a lot of ground today. We've really navigated through the complexities of communicating better, haven't we?
We really have. From those crucial first impressions without words.
Right. The smile, the pivot, no fidgeting.
To mastering small talk, finding things to say, keeping it going.
Prosaic with passion, parroting, being a word detective.
Then talking like a VIP, using you firsty, building vocabulary smartly, avoiding cliches, the broken record.
And finally becoming that insider, connecting deeper with scramble therapy and echoing.
Leil Lowndes' tricks, as we've seen, are really quite profound insights into how humans connect or fail to connect.
They really are practical steps for building better, more authentic connections everywhere in your life.
And what strikes me is that these aren't just, superficial tactics to get what you want. They're really about making other people feel genuinely seen, heard, and valued.
That's a great point. When you use these ideas, you're not just being strategic, you're actually building stronger relationships because you're meeting a fundamental human need.
You're understanding and responding to people on their terms, basically.
So thinking back to that statistic, 85% of success coming from communication skills.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine the impact, the ripple effect, if you were to just commit to trying out one new trick from our deep dive today each week.
Yeah, just one small change consistently.
So the question for you listening is, which communication fumbles, maybe something you recognize in yourself, will you decide to turn into a trick first? And what effect do you think focusing on that one thing might have on your interactions going forward?